Yeah, it's been tough, but I've had a lot of support from my teammates, my family, a lot of people outside of the program. So I've been able to, keep a positive attitude and a positive outlook on it. But yeah, I mean, it's been tough, but I've been good though.
Grant, how many times have you actually been going through the concussion protocol? I mean, several. It happened to you in high school too, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'll name exactly how many, but more than usual, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, a number of times.
Grant, when did you start to think, this isn't just something I can come back from. This I may have to think about giving football up.
Well, I just started, kind of counting up, how many it was, and how close together that they were, and those were kind of the biggest things for me. The biggest thing being, how close they were together is kind of what makes me more prone to having them. Mm-hmm. And once I get one, it's I'm getting another one, fairly soon after. So. Just at the end of the day, weighing the risk versus the reward, and I didn't feel like I'd be able to play how I like to play, without risking getting hit again.
Was the last one Texas week, practice at Texas week?
Yeah.
And then how soon did you realize that, come to that fruition, that was probably going to happen?
Well, when I kind of came back to it, after that incident, I remember kind of just sitting on the field going, man, had a lot of these things, this might be the last one, but I just went through the process and went and saw different doctors and gathered information and just listened, and that's kind of the conclusion I had to come to.
How scary is that whole process? Just, I guess, kind of having everything sink in, if you will.
It is scary. I mean, just brain injuries in general are scary. But I wasn't ever scared to stop playing, because I know that, at the end of the day, I'm going to be successful in whatever I do, because it's just the type of person I am. I just know if I put in the effort and time and all the determination I had into football into something else, then I'll be just fine. So I was never, scared to walk away. I was just bittersweet, just because I, love playing so much.
Can you talk about your day Saturday and what that was like?
What's that?
Your day Saturday. Could you talk about what that was like?
It was emotional. I never thought that my, senior day would have, happened because of that. I always thought, I was going to be a senior day because I was a senior, or I wasn't going to have a senior day because, I was, playing in the NFL but, it was emotional. I was happy that Coach Riley let me, walk out with those group of seniors, although I wasn't a senior. And I was happy that my parents got to come. And I was happy, all the fans were really, supportive. So it was great. I was blessed to be there.
Then leading the team out, that had to be a thrill.
Yeah, I had never done that. The only reason I did that is because I never did that here. I mean, I did it in high school a few times. I was a captain or whatever, but I'd never done it, for a home game or any game in college, and so I was just kind of screw it, might as well.
Everyone was blessed to see the hair flowing without helmet on.
Yeah,
That's been the
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I had to let it go.
Sorry. Before this most recent concussion, had you worried at all about concussions, head injuries, anything, whether it's short-term or long-term effects? I
mean, yeah. I feel like if you don't ever think about it, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. But you never really think that'll be me, because even the one I had before this last one, I was like, shit, I'm not gonna get another one. And if I get one, it'll be 5 years down the road, and it's not a big deal, because if you play for so long, you're bound to get hit again. So I never really worried about it, and it was just kind of something that happened, and I was like, well, this isn't good. So.
Grant, as recently as 10 years ago, I don't think a player would have done what you have decided to do. How much has the recent concussion scare and CTE and all that stuff, awareness, maybe some fear in there, how much has that played a part in your education of this?
It's played. I mean, that's the big factor. I mean, there's been no fear in it at all because I've sacrificed my body enough up until this point. So there's bound to be some kind of repercussions, whether it's my head or other parts of my body. So it's never the fear part. It's just kind of like your brain is kind of the part of your body that runs your entire body. So I was like, it's probably kind of an important thing. And yeah. There's been tons of research that's came out. I know it's still fairly really new, so I guess I'm just erring on the side of being safe. There may be something that comes out in the next 5-10 years that says some treatment that you can do that can just erase all the damage that's been done, and if that happens, then I got unlucky. But I'm happy with how I performed. I'm happy with my career, and I mean, it sucks, but I'm just going to move forward.
Grant, were the doctors telling you really need to think about stepping away, or what was their message to you?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a doctor. I mean, there might have been one or two that were like, if we were, the ones making decisions, we would tell you to stop. But pretty much everybody I saw was like recommending that I stopped, but nobody was in the position to tell me that I had to.
Right.
So ultimately, it was about 80% up to me, I'd say.
I assume you had a lot of conversation with Scott about it.
Yeah.
What were those like, especially given his background in concussion research?
He's super informational. Scott and Brock Schnabel, those guys helped me, tremendously. They sent me to different specialists, to get different opinions, and gave me all the resources I needed to make an informed decision. And so shouts out to those guys. But yeah, it was just really good to know, to get as much information as possible. And Scott's a super knowledgeable guy. So yeah, he really helped me out a lot.
How tough was that conversation that you had I'm guessing that you had with Lincoln, just as far as your decision?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, when I walked in there, he knew exactly what it was about. I told him, and I just obviously thanked him for giving me a great opportunity and helping me become a better player, better person. And yeah, he told me that I was making the right decision. He told me that if I came in his office and told him that I was coming back, he would have been like, hey, well, he would have second guessed it. He would have tried to tell me to make sure I'm safe, as any good coach would do. Yeah, he told me he was proud of me. He told me he would do anything he could for me, whether it's down the road with the career path, or if I was the one to get into coaching, or he was great. He was just great.
Grant, when you mentioned the risks that you weighed, were they were doctors telling you, were those risks more long term or short term?
Both. I'd say mostly long term, just because there's so much information that, like, there's nothing with concussions. There's really nothing that's like concrete. I mean, because there's so many different cases and so many different factors, but it's just that risk of having those issues down the road. And it really came down to do I want to be have a bunch of money possibly playing football and be 50 years old, but I can't remember how to brush my teeth or something, or cut my losses, pride myself in having a decent career in college, and maybe not be a millionaire, and be able to enjoy my family, be able to enjoy people around me, my friends. So that's what I chose to do.
Have you always wanted to be a firefighter?
I really started thinking about it probably 3 years ago. One of my best friends growing up, his dad does it. One of my cousins does it, but really a year ago, when I was going to be a junior in school, I was like, well, I should probably start thinking about what I want to do with my life after football. And I was just kind of thinking of what I love about football. And like I mentioned in that video, I love, just always being on your toes, being impulsive. I love being on a team. I love working with people. I love leading by example. And, I love, being a part of something that's bigger than myself. And I was like, well, this is, pretty perfect. And, California needs it.
That's what I was going to say.
The place is always on fire, but, also people need help too. So I'd be honored to be that kind of guy.
Was recording that video, writing that letter, was that an emotional experience for you? Was that tough to get through?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Grant, you want to take a couple of minutes and come back?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Well, Grant, every athlete is different. Every concussion is different. Can you describe your experience in concussion protocol, what that was like, whether you had to, go through the step process and all that stuff?
Yeah. So what they do at OU is they take you through when you first get here, and they take a baseline computer test and different balancing tests and things like that. And then so once you get a concussion, they kind of take you through those same tests and kind of compare you to how you were baseline. And then you basically kind of do those tests, every day, involve some kind of, working out, running routes, getting in practice, and then, continue to take those tests until you're pretty much asymptomatic according to your baseline. So that's pretty much what they do.
Did you ever reach a point where symptoms were gone for sure?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I reached it. I don't know how long it took me, but it was significantly longer than the ones I had before. So that was kind of alarming.
When was your most recent concussion before this last one?
I got one in the spring,
Oh, wow.
spring ball. Yeah.
Grant, when you look back at your career, what would be some of your favorite moments here at Oklahoma?
Should have a ton. My first touchdown catch against UTEP my freshman year. I had a big touchdown against TCU. Championships we've won. Making some of my best friends. Going with Bake to New York, and then winning the Heisman. Being real close with Mark. All the friends I've made these last couple years. Schaefer and Stogg, Caleb, all those guys. Being able to be a guy who the young guys look up to, stepping into that leadership role. Obviously, touchdown against Texas last year. There's a ton. There's a lot of favorites. Just all the relationships I've built. It's all been.
Can you describe some of the feedback that you've gotten from teammates and former teammates, from coaches, and things like that?
Yeah, just mostly just thank yous for being a good teammate. Obviously, most of the fans are mostly recognize some of the bigger plays I made, but for my teammates, it was more just thanks for being a good teammate, thanks for being a good friend, things like that. They're always told me they always support me, they love me, things like that. So, I appreciate all those messages I got.
Hey, you have to know you're doing things right because, the outpouring of love and support for you, from on Twitter and things was amazing. Some of the people that was responding to you had to make you feel pretty cool.
Yeah, it did. I was talking to Mike, I really didn't expect to get, that much support and, messages and things like that. So, it was great to see that, people take these kind of things seriously and that, people support me for, who I am outside of the field.
Eric, just to ask you about moments in your career. What about the last game? What are you going to remember about that?
My last game, the last one that I played,
Yeah.
Kansas, I guess, was the last one that I played. I guess we didn't really play very well. I played all right, but I guess I didn't really think about that. I didn't really think that would be my last game, but I'm happy it was a win.
Having gone what you've gone through now, would you still tell kids to play football, be part of the sport?
Yeah, definitely. I think I have a strong feeling that in the next, 5, 10 at the most years, that they're going to have some pretty strong science behind this whole thing. And I think that, given that, they'll be able to protect players more. And I know the game's doing everything they can to protect players, but it's just a violent game, and that's what I love about it. And it sucks that it has to be me that has to do this, but that doesn't change the fact that I love football and I love being violent. And I love everything about it. And I'll definitely have my kid, like my kid wants to play, I'll let him play. I think I'll start him a little later than I started, but it's just all about teaching the kids the right way to play. And I think if anybody wants to play football, they should.
Did you talk to any other guys who gave up football because of concussions? Did you have any of those kinds of conversations?
Yeah, I did. I talked to Joshua Perry. He played linebacker at Ohio State and played for the Chargers for 6 years. I talked to him. I talked to Jimmy Jaggers, who's a tight end from California, who went to UCLA, who had to stop playing. And I talked to other guys who had to step away from the game for different reasons, but those were kind of the two main guys who, had to stop playing for the same reasons as I did.
Did they say you should? What was their advice?
Just to trust my body, trust how I feel. Yeah, ultimately, the biggest thing, I asked them a lot, do you guys regret your decision? And they said no, because ultimately your health is, if not your most important thing that you have. So, yeah, they were really supportive, and they were just kind of trying to tell me, just telling me, if they to reach out if any questions I had, and I did. So they were great.
I'm sure you have a lot of things you probably are going to miss. But what's one or two things that you were completely going to miss? Not just about the game of football, but just your time here.
Just being with my team, a lot of things outside of football, like right now, Monday night, I'm about to go eat with some of my buddies on the team. That's the stuff that I'll miss the most. I miss, all the workouts, all the time you put in. You're like shit, more workouts, more practice. But that's really the stuff that you love the most, that you look back on. So just all the time I spend with my teammates, all the, all the relationships, because once I graduate in May, I'll be back home, and I won't see these guys every day, so that's pretty much what I'll miss the most. Obviously the big plays, but I got videos of that, so I'll be good.
What role do you move in here for the next couple months in the spring, this week with the football team?
Oh, what role? I never wanted to be the guy to just ghost off and just not come around. So I'm in every meeting. I'm at every practice. I'm still working out in there with Caesar and Benny and Frank and all those guys. So I'm just trying to be a face out there. Help coach a little bit, bring some of my little knowledge that I have, and try to help some of those younger guys out. So yeah, just trying to help in every way I can, and I'll do the same thing in the spring.
What have you learned about firefighting that you didn't know 6 months ago, or however long ago? Because I've really started trying to network. I guess I've learned, how much. There's a lot of education that goes into it, and so I'll have to. Probably next semester, I'm going to get involved in a EMT certification program. It'll be a semester long, and get my EMT certification, paramedic certification, and then, once I get home in May, I should be a leg ahead of most people. And given that I have a 4-year degree and was an athlete, I think I, shouldn't have too much trouble finding a fire academy to get into and graduate from there, and then hopefully get hired somewhere.
You get to meet Smokey the Bear too.
Yeah.
Can you describe your feelings? Your feeling whenever 80,000 people just stood up to give you a standing ovation when they announced your name?
I didn't even realize that everybody stood up. I was just kind of I don't know. I wasn't really thinking, I guess, but
you know, I was honored. I mean, it's unexplainable. I mean, the support that I've gotten. So I'm super thankful for all those people who were, you know, out there for not only me but the rest of the seniors.